Busy show as it's been a busy day for the Chicago Bears. This is Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. We got more reaction to the CJ Gardner-Johnson signing as Ben Johnson sounded off. We also heard from CJ today. So get some of those quotes and react with all of you. The Bears injury report continues to be crowded, but there is some good news, but it's not all good news. And we have a Joe Flacco injury update. He may or may not play on Sunday, so lots to divulge here. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys why you should subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We provide free and daily Bears content, the latest news, injury updates. Obviously, it's trade season right now, NFL trade deadline next Tuesday, so any relevant trade rumors we will discuss. And, of course, we do weekly game previews, and we go live 3 times a week, Monday, Thursday, and game day. So tomorrow's Thursday, we'll be live. Subscribe, join us for our daily Bears content. Okay, CJ Gardner-Johnson, we broke down the signing this morning. He's ready to roll. He told reporters today when asked about how quickly he can pick up things and play, he said simply, "I'll see you Sunday." So he plans on being out there. He also said this about joining the Bears, quote, "I'm coming to a place where I'm comfortable with the coaches. This team was already good before me. They won, 4 straight or 5 straight? We were hoping for 5 straight, but 4 straight before Sunday's loss. A loss doesn't deteriorate who they are. I'm just coming in to add extra fire and extra skill to the back end. I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate Coach Allen." Obviously talking about Dennis Allen there. This guy's going to bring a lot of edge, intensity, and fire. Sometimes that's been good. And at times in the locker room, it's seemingly been a problem. He, a good example last year, he's a big part of the Eagles' defense, wins the Super Bowl, and they trade him for basically nothing. The Saints moved on early on in his career, despite him being a very good player, although that was the longest tenured place he was New Orleans for 3 years. Obviously, he referenced Dennis Allen there, so that would be an indicator that they have a good relationship. But he's bounced around, so this signing doesn't come without, some level of risk. Now, Ben Johnson had this to say on the decision to sign CJ Gardner-Johnson. He said, talking about some injuries over the past few weeks to the Bears roster. We had an opportunity, and he was available. There's a number of us who have been with him in the past, and so it's a good fit. Did some kind of cross-referencing. It's possible I missed a deep assistant coach or something like that, but these are the 6 coaches that have been with CJ Gardner-Johnson. Obviously, Dennis Allen's the big one. He was his DC for 3 years in New Orleans, 2019 to 21. Dan Roschon and Declan Doyle were also on that staff. Obviously, Roschon, the offensive line coach, and Doyle, who's the Bears OC, he was, I believe, an offensive quality control guy, but still was in the building with him every day. JT Barrett was on the Lions staff in 2023 as an assistant QB's coach, but also I wanted to mention him first here. He was on the Saints roster in 2021, bounced from the practice squad to the 53 off and on that year. So he kind of has the experience of being with him as a player and as a coach. Ben Johnson, obviously, in Detroit in 2023. And then Antoine Randall also on that Lions staff, obviously, as well. Again, I may have missed 1 or 2 deep assistants, but those 6 coaches for sure. Ben Johnson, when asked to describe his experience with CJ Gardner-Johnson, said he's a competitive player. I felt that during training camp that year. I was with him in Detroit, and when he returned later in the season, had a big injury that year. He loves being on the grass and playing football. We'll make sure that we have a good support system for him. He also went on to say that we have a good locker room in place, trust that room, and that is the most important thing. This is pretty obviously a Ben Johnson, Dennis Allen decision. And I mentioned it on the video earlier. This is further proof that Ben Johnson has more juice than Ryan Poles. I'm not saying Ryan Poles didn't sign off on this. I'm saying if he had full control, I'm not sure he would have even pursued this option before. So that speaks to who has more power in the organization, and also maybe a bit of a changing of the guard in terms of who you're willing to take chances on. This team obviously passed on Jalen Carter. Now, they haven't never taken a guy with character questions. They signed Nate Davis, who had red flags. They traded for Chase Claypool, but typically they have not gone down this route, so that is what makes this one interesting. Relatively low risk because worst case, you just cut them if things don't work out. But we're all hoping it does, and if it does, he's a good player. I mean, he's not a superstar, but he's a pretty damn good player. He's got 18 career interceptions. He's kind of a nickel safety hybrid. He had 6 picks last year for for the Eagles. Again, he was a big part of that secondary a year ago. Obviously, he's got experience with Dennis Allen. He should pick things up quickly, and the plan is to plug him in at nickel at first and see where it goes from there. So, he can obviously help step in at safety if there's an injury to Brisker or Kevin Byard. You probably wouldn't play him at outside corner, but, he's played a lot of different roles in the NFL. So, based on who was available, that if you weren't going to trade for someone, it's probably the best guy available, unless Asante Samuel Jr. Got cleared. And even then, CJ Gardner-Johnson, probably a better player than him. So I like the move. It does come with some risk, but again, if it's not a fit, you can always just cut them. You're pretty thin in the secondary, so I will sign off on this one. Show the new Bears some love. Type CJ GJ, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Welcome aboard to Chicago. How about an interception on Sunday? That'd be a lot of fun for his Bears debut. By the way, he's going to rock number 35, so see 35 running around, that is him. All right, we got some big injury news to discuss, both in the good category and the not-so-good category, coming up here on Chicago Bears Now. But first, I want to tell you about Ethos. Today's sponsor is Ethos. Easy and fast life insurance. Life insurance is one of the most important investments you can make in your family. Now with Ethos, you can get covered and protected in minutes with rates as low as $2 per day billed monthly. You can also get up to $3 million in coverage. As a husband and father, having life insurance is vital, and it's something I don't want to take for granted. Ethos is revolutionizing the insurance industry with a 100% online process. It could provide protection for you and your loved ones. With Ethos, you can get life insurance in as little as 10 minutes. Ethos has no medical exams, just a few easy health questions online. Their 100% online and hassle-free process makes it easy to apply. You'll get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. Ethos, 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos today. Get up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 10 minutes at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That is ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. It's Ethos. Go check it out. All right, let's talk injuries. It's never a fun day when the injury report comes out and your top 4 receivers do not practice. That includes Rome Odunze. Didn't even know he got banged up in the last game, dealing with a heel injury. Hopefully it's not serious, but wasn't out there today. DJ Moore has kind of been battling this hip groin issue. They've been managing him and DeAndre Swift early in the week. We'll get to Swift in a minute. He didn't go. Luther Burden's in concussion protocol. I would not expect him to play Sunday. And then Olamide Zaccheaus as well. He is dealing with a knee issue. So Caleb Williams is practicing with Devin Duvernay, Jade Walker, and practice squad receivers. So that's always fun. You don't love that. And even if a couple of these guys play Sunday, if they don't practice much during the week, it's like, well, you still need these reps. Like, you're still early on in this new offense with Caleb and Ben and these players. So you don't love the fact that they're missing critical practice time here. Also didn't practice. We mentioned DeAndre Swift with that groin. Not as concerned about that. He's been playing through it. Clearly not full throttle, but he's been battling in there. No Roschon Johnson still with that back injury. And then Dominique Robinson, he's going to miss at least, I would say, 2 weeks. They basically already said that. The question is whether or not he could be a short-term IR candidate. So keep an eye on that as the week progresses. Good news is Cole Kmet and Tyrique Stevenson, who missed last week, they were limited today. So that's a sign that they could be turning a corner in their injury situations. Cole Kmet is dealing with a back. Tyrique Stevenson dealing with a shoulder. Stevenson, it could be one of those kind of pain tolerance deals. They may have to wrap it. He may have to wear a harness. Depending on the severity of the injury, but I like the way they are trending, and especially for Tyrique Stevenson, we talked about it. Facing Jamar Chase, facing T. Higgins, his presence on the field would be huge, and especially now with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, you plug him in at nickel. If Stevenson is back, if he's your top outside guy, Nashawn Wright, your other outside guy, Gardner-Johnson at the nickel, you're kind of in a decent spot all of a sudden, whereas last week was kind of a disaster. So hopefully Stevenson can play this week. Full participant, Eamon Agbabamiga, he is still on short-term IR. I think the Bears have until November 5th to activate him to the 53-man roster. Otherwise, he would remain on IR for the rest of the season. So we will continue to monitor his status as well. Okay, on the Bengals side of things, Joe Flacco, it was big news this morning when it was reported that he's dealing with an AC joint injury. Zac Taylor called him 50-50 for Sunday's game as he's dealing with that shoulder injury. Rappaport had the report that he's dealing with an AC joint sprain in his throwing shoulder and that his status is up in the air for this game against the Bears. Flacco left the loss against the Jets, then came back late. Zac Taylor, like I said, day-to-day is his status. Jake Browning is the backup. We heard from Zac Taylor later in the day. Here's what he had to say about his veteran quarterback, Joe Flacco. He said, we'll see what he can potentially get out of him tomorrow. We'll just work through this week. I think right now it's probably 50-50 on what will end up happening on Sunday. If anybody in this league can get by with minimal reps right now, it's him. That part is definitely true. I mean, he played against the Packers with basically no practice and actually played pretty well his first game with Cincinnati. I'll say this, if he's out, it's a pretty big deal. Jake Browning has played good football before, but this year he has not. That is why they traded for Joe Flacco. I mean, just look at the comparisons here. Jake Browning started 3 games, but really played all 4 games because Burrow got hurt early in that Week 3 loss or win over the Jags. Accuracy fine, but 8 interceptions and less than 4 full games. The QB rating in the dirt. He can't push the ball downfield with consistency, so you got to run a lot of quick game with him. Flacco, you can run quick game, but he can also spin the rock. You can generate more big plays. He's been a much better decision maker. No turnovers or no interceptions. I'm not sure if he has a fumble, but 7 touchdowns, passer rating over 100. He's been really good. Joe Flacco's played really good football with the Bengals since coming over, and he's peppering Jamar Chase, and that was an issue. They were not getting the ball in Jamar Chase's hands enough with Jake Browning, which is also why they brought Joe Flacco in. Kind of like last week, I expected Lamar to play. He didn't. I expect Flacco to play. Maybe he won't, but you lost to Tyler Huntley, so you just got to be ready to go, regardless of who's playing. So we'll see how that ends up playing out, but obviously we will cover it throughout the week. The full injury report for the Bengals, Trey Hendrickson also did not practice. He's dealing with that hip issue. We'll see what his status is. Dalton Reisner dealing with an illness. He should be fine. Didn't practice. Logan Wilson with the calf, and then Marco Wilson with a hamstring. So that is the Bengals injury report today. More to come tomorrow. Predict the score, Bears, Bengals. Who wins? What is the final score going to be? Let us know down in the comment section below. If you want my prediction, stay tuned because tomorrow we will have a full Bears Bengals preview episode that goes on the channel in the morning, and then we will be live tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock Central Time, with the latest Bears coverage for you guys, new injury updates, and a whole lot more. So be sure to subscribe and join us. My name is Harrison Graham. Bear down.